Hey, Jai Hind students, how are you? I hope you all must be fine and doing great at your home. So today we are going to start our new chapter of our English literature, and the title of the chapter is The Little Girl. Okay? The title of the chapter is, chapter number 3 is The Little Girl. The title of the story refers to the main character that we will come across, the little girl named Kezia. The theme of the story is the relationship between children and their parents. And the writer, who's the writer? The writer is Catherine Mansfield, wants to tell us that children share a very important bond of love with their parents. Although when children are small, when they are young, they do not feel that their parents love them because their parents are strict, and many actions of the parents seem unjustified. But as children grow up, they realize that um, all the acts done by their parents were beneficial for them. The parents were concerned for them, and beneath the strictness lies a heart full of love for the children. And this bond of love between parents and their children has been highlighted through our story, The Little Girl. Okay, so if you can see here, do you feel you know your parents better now than when you were much younger? Perhaps you now understand the reason for some of their actions that used to upset you earlier. Okay, so the story about a little girl whose feelings for her father change from fear to understanding will probably find an echo in every home. Earlier she was very much afraid of her father, but later on she understood why his father is so much having such a behavior towards her, and she understands gradually and slowly. Okay, so now let us start. Listen, one more thing I would like to tell you here. When we are small, when we are very small, we do not know why our parents are being strict with us. But as we grow older, we become mature and we realize why they were being strict with us. And when we realize that thing, then what happens? We also realize that our parents love us. Okay, so even the reader can also relate to this. You can relate yourself to this. You all can also feel that when you were younger, the action your parents did, the strictness that they feel they had towards you was for your betterment. Okay, now let us read the story. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Who was a figure to be feared? Yes, Kezia's father. Okay, that little girl's father. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father." And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter down the long road. Okay, so I told you that Kezia's father is the figure to be feared, and so he refers to he means here Kezia's father, and the little girl is Kezia herself. So the opening line of the story is indicating that the fear, the fear that Kezia has for her father, and she's fearful of her father. She tries to avoid him and she tries to remain away from him. Okay, so every morning before going to work, Kezia's father would visit her in her room and give her a casual kiss, and in reply Kezia would say, "Goodbye, father." So this action of Kezia's father shows his love for Kezia. Okay, there is a word used, glad, sense of relief means feeling relaxed. Okay, and then fainter, and fainter means when you would have heard that a noise, it starts to reduce, to lessen or to reduce, that is called painter as painter. So carriage like horse carts, okay, were means of conveyance used in olden times at that time. So here we can make out that make out the fear that Kezia has for her father. The writer says that when Kezia heard that her father's carriage, the vehicle in which he used to go and come, okay, was going away from home and he was leaving home, and the sound became fainter and fainter, that means the sound reduced, Kezia would have a sense of relaxation. She felt very good. Okay, she would feel relieved that her father had left. Now, why did she feel relieved? Tell me, why did she feel relieved? Because she feared her father. She was afraid of him, and so she was relieved when he left home. Okay, now see. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. So in the evening, when Kezia's father would return home, she would hear his loud voice, and this loud voice made her afraid of him. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there, and bring me my slippers. So Kezia's father returned home, okay, from his office. And he would start ordering all different things. He would order the tea be served to him in the drawing room itself. He wanted the newspaper. He would ask his mother also to go and see if the newspaper was there outside the house or not. And he would ask her to get him his slippers also. Kezia, mother would call to her, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boots. Slowly the girl would slip down the stairs, more slowly still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. Now see, if you can see the sentence, Kezia, mother would call to her, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boot. Kezia mother would call out to her and ask her to remove her father's boot. It's a little bit harsh, no? I mean, kind of too much for a small girl to take off her father's boot. In order to make her obey, she would say that if she was a good girl, then surely she would obey her command. Okay, she wanted her to do that, and for that she was trying to tell her that she is a very good girl and she should do that. Okay, now see, slowly the girl would slip down the stairs. Slip down the stairs means come quietly and unwillingly. She doesn't want to take off the boots of her father, but unwillingly she used to come down. So again, we see Kezia's fear for her father. That is why she would come down the stairs quietly and unwillingly. Unwillingly because she didn't want to face her father. She feared him. Okay. Now see, by that time, he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. Now just imagine Kezia's father sitting in the drawing room on a sofa, wearing his spectacles, and he's looking at Kezia over the spectacles. Now the way he looked at her like this, when we pull down a little bit our spectacles like here, and then we look from that side, that is called, he looked over the spectacles. He looked at her, terrified her. She was horrified because maybe it seemed to her that he was staring at her. Okay, so then, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today? I don't know, father. Now see, Kezia was reluctant in her work. She was slow in her motion because she was unwillingly going. She doesn't like to go over. And so her father would tell her to hurry up and remove his boots and keep them out of the room. And then he would ask her if she had been a good girl that day. And Kezia replied that she did not know Okay, she replied that she did not know. So why was she stammering? Because she was not confident. You can see here, I don't know. That means she was stammering. Okay, a person is not confident when he has any feeling of fear. So when we have a feeling of fear inside us, we don't feel confident. Okay, so similarly, the case was with this was the case with Kezia also. She stammers in front of her father just because she was afraid of him. She was scared of his her father. Now see, you don't know. If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. Stutter, I told you, means to stammer, to speak with pauses. Okay. So here Kezia's father is copying her. See, she was stammering and he is copying. Not good. Okay. And he also stammers like she did. He says to her that if she stuttered like that, then her mother would have to take her to the doctor for a checkup. Okay. She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only with father, because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. Okay, so given it up means, you can see here, given it up, that means stop doing it. And trying so hard means making a lot of effort. So here the writer tells us that Kezia never stammered. Kezia, she never stammered while she spoke to other people. It was only when she talked to her father that she lacked confidence, and that is why she tried very hard to speak properly and she stammered. What's the matter? What are you looking so wretched about? Mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. Here, Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. You can see the word meaning. Wretched means unhappy. On the brink of suicide means about to commit suicide. Now, Kezia's father looks at her and he feels that something is wrong with her. And he asks her why she is so unhappy. And then he tells the mother that she should teach Kezia to behave in a better way. And she should not appear as if she is so unhappy that she is about to end her life. A very harsh words for a small child, little girl like Kezia by a father. Okay, I don't think that it should be. So he wants to say that Kezia seems to be so unhappy with her life that she does not want to live any longer. He hands her his teacup and asks her to place it back on the table. How mean. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so now let's see. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth, when he yawned. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. Now see, here this is this is the feeling, this is the vision that Kezia has for her father. She feels that her father was so big, he was just like a giant, and the writer says that Kezia felt that his hand and his neck and his mouth were all so huge, especially when he yawned. It seemed as if he was a huge monster, and whenever Kezia thought about her father, she felt that she was thinking about a giant. Okay, now let's see what's happening. You can see here there is a picture. It's related to the para 4. On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa, his handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. You can see here in the picture. Yes, you can see here in this picture. This is the little girl Kezia. Here is her mother, her father. Her mother always, she finds her always reading, and father stretched on the sofa. Stretched means he is lying down on the sofa. Okay, so now let's see what's happening here. So every Sunday during the afternoon, Kezia's grandmother sent her downstairs to the drawing room in order to spend time with her parents. So Kezia was supposed to behave in a nice and decent way in front of her parents, and they had a formal get-together. If you can see, it's a lot of formalities is going here, isn't it? There is a word used, snoring. Snoring, I hope you all know. It is the sound produced by some people when they are asleep. Okay, so at that time they produce sound. So here we feel that Kezia felt a bit neglected. How? Because every Sunday afternoon when she went to her parents to meet them in the drawing room and have a nice talk with them, they were busy doing their own work, own things. Her mother, she was busy reading, and her father was busy sleeping and snoring. So Kezia had this image of her parents in her mind. They didn't talk with her. They didn't spend time with her. On the other hand, they were busy doing their own things. Okay? So that was a kind of an image that small little girl is having about her parents. Now let's move on to the next para. Okay, here it is. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke and stretched, and asked the time, then looked at her. So gravely means here seriously, very seriously. So all the while Kezia's father was asleep, she would just sit on a stool and watch him carefully. She used to watch her father very carefully asleep, okay, till the time he would wake up and stretch his body. He used to wake up and used to stretch his body like this, and then would ask the time and look at her. Don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl. See how, who speak like this to their own kids? Okay, but anyways, let us see. Kezia's father would compare Kezia to a little owl, brown owl. Okay, he would say that Kezia was staring at him just like an owl does. Okay. One day when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pin cushion for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. So grandmother was also residing with them. So how many characters are there in the story now? Father, Kezia, Kezia's father, Kezia's mother, and Kezia's grandmother. Okay, so now we have total 4 characters till now. Okay, so what happened? Now Kezia was not well. Okay, she was not well. She had a cold, so she was supposed to stay at home. And so her grandmother suggested her that as she was at home, she's not well, so she was at home, and her father's birthday was approaching. It was coming nearby, so she could make a birthday gift for him. She could make a birthday gift for him. She asked Kezia to make a pin cushion for him, and she also gave her a yellow colored fabric of silk to make the cushion. So that was an idea which came through grandmother. Okay. Laboriously with the double cotton, the little girl stitched 3 sides. But what to fill it with? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden, and she wandered into mother's bedroom to look for scraps. On the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces, and stuffed her case, then sewed up the 4th side. So laboriously means when you put in a lot of effort with a great difficulty. So Kezia put in a lot of effort to make the birthday gift. she used double cotton. Here it refers to the thread, okay, and she stitched three sides of the cushion. Now Kezia had prepared the bag, the cover of the cushion she had prepared, the bag shape of the cushion. She had to stitch the four sides, and before that she had to fill the cushion with something, okay, with some stuff inside it. So she did not know what to fill the cushion with. Now what happened, there is a word, if you can see, she wandered into mother's bedroom. So wandered means went into, by chance. So by chance she went into, she was very confused, she was quite confused that what should she use to fill in the cushion with. As her grandmother was out in the garden and she was just looking for something, she reached her mother's bedroom by chance, okay, it was not intentionally. She was looking for bits of paper or clothes to stuff into the cushion. So now Kezia is a small little girl, she's very young. Now what she do? On the bed table she found a heap of sheet. Okay, she found a heap of sheet of paper. So she just gathered all the sheets, then tore them and stuff those pieces of paper into the cushion, okay, and then she stitched the fourth side of the cushion and she had prepared the cushion this way. So many of you can relate to Kezia's act. Many children do such things unknowingly. Sometimes we do. They do not intend, to create any mischief or harm to anyone, but what happens, sometimes we end up doing it, though it was not our intention to hurt somebody. We just want to give surprise as a birthday gift or something, but it happens, it turned out to be a disaster. Now Kezia, she has torn some very important papers. Now let's see what happens. That night there was a hue and cry in the house. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. Rooms were searched, servants questioned. Finally mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room? Oh yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. Okay, so now see what's happening here. Hue and cry means very angry protest, okay. So now there was a lot of shouting. Why there was a lot of shouting in the house? Because Kezia's father had prepared a speech for the Port Authority. He might be having some sort of a meeting. For that he has prepared a speech, okay. Okay, there was a meeting and his father has prepared a speech for that, and he was unable to find it. And now we all know where the speech has gone. Where it has gone? Tell me. It has gone into that cushion as a stuff. Okay, so it has been torn into tiny pieces and Kezia has stuffed it into the cushion. So what happened? Now the family searched everywhere. It happens now when we miss out some important paper, we start searching it here and there in such a hurry and haste. So similarly, the search was started everywhere. They asked the servant, but no one knew where the sheets of paper had gone. And finally, the mother reached the Kezia's room. Kezia, she said, then they had a conversation. So what is that conversation? Now here we get to see that Kezia is an innocent girl. She did not intend to harm anyone. She was just preparing her birthday gift. And so very truly she tells her mother that she found some pieces of paper as she needed them to stuff into the cushion. So she torn them and prepared her surprise gift. That is a birthday gift that she had prepared for her father. Unknowingly, Kezia had done a great disaster. So now Kezia's mother is so furious. When she comes to know that Kezia has torn those important papers that her father is looking for, and so she orders Kezia to come down into the dining room at that very moment. Okay? And then what happened? She was dragged down to where father was pacing to and fro, hands behind his back. Now Kezia's father, he was full of tension as his important papers, documents were lost. So Kezia has torn it into pieces, as we all know. Now Kezia will be scolded for the mischief that she has done. Then he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered. Mother, go up to her room and fetch down the damn thing. See that the child put to the bed this instant. The damn thing means sometimes we use this word damn to express our anger. Now why is Kezia's father referring to the cushion that she has prepared as a damn thing? Why he said it damn thing? Because he is angry at that cushion. Okay, that is why he called it a damn thing. Because Kezia has torn his important documents to prepare it. Now he's very angry with Kezia and he stared at her and asked her if she had torn the papers. Kezia was so scared that she was again stammering. She again started stammering. And then Kezia's father ordered mother to go and bring that cushion downstairs and asked her to put Kezia to bed at that very moment. He was very angry. He doesn't want Kezia to stand in front of him at that moment. So he asked mother to take Kezia at that very moment to her bedroom. Okay. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. So shadowed room means that that as it was dark, there was a light outside the room which was making shadows in the room. Sometimes it happens that there is dark inside the room, but outside there is some light, and that light enters our room, and then some shadows form inside our house. So that is called a shadow room. Okay. A sad little pattern refers to the sad atmosphere in the room. Fine. So Kezia wanted to justify her actions as she was innocent. She did not mean to harm her father. She was just preparing a surprise birthday gift for him. Kezia was very sad, very sad. She had been happy that she had prepared a surprise gift, but she was hoping that his father would like it. But on the other hand, she had accidentally committed a disaster. It was not intentionally. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hand. Very strict, you know. Now he is about to punish Kezia for the wrong act she has done. What wrong act she has done? That she has torn those speech papers, those documents. I'm going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, she screamed, hiding under the bed clothes. Now, bedclothes refers to the sheets, the top sheets that you cover yourself when you are sleeping. That is called bed sheet. Now, Kezia's father told her that he would beat her with a ruler. Kezia was so scared that she tried to hide under the bed sheets. Okay. He pulled them aside. You can see here, I am here on this 9. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. Now, here we come to know that why Kezia's father was being strict with her. Why was he punishing her? Because he wanted Kezia to know this thing once for all, that she should not touch that thing that does not belong to her. He wanted to teach her this thing so that it benefited uh, in her future life. Okay. Right now she was a small child. She did not know what was important and what was not important. That is why unknowingly she has torn the important documents of her father, and so he was punishing her. He did not want to harm Kezia, but he wanted that Kezia should know what she should know, that in future she should not touch anything that does not belong to her. So now see, the father is having a very pure thought behind punishing her, that so that she should not repeat this mistake in future, and she should not touch the things which does not belong to her. So that was the motive of punishing her. But it was for your birthday. Kezia tried to explain her position. She said that she had been preparing a birthday gift for her father and had to stuff it with something. She just tore the pages to stuff them into the cushion. She was trying to explain to him that she was just preparing a birthday gift for him. She wanted to give him a surprise. She wanted to give him a surprise. He was an innocent child, and she did not want to tear his important documents. But Kezia's father did not listen to her excuses. Down came the ruler on her little pink palm. Kezia's father hit the palms of her hand with the ruler, finally. Okay? Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair, the child clung to her soft body. Clung means to attach yourself to something. Okay, that is called clung. Now Kezia was so afraid. She had got beating. Poor Kezia. Her father had hit her small little palms with the ruler. And many hours later, her grandmother wrapped her in a shawl. Okay, and many hours later, her grandmother wrapped her in a shawl and was trying. She was trying to pacify her. She was trying to console her. Okay, she made her sit on her lap. Okay, lap means goad, जिसे कहते हैं, on a rocking chair. Rocking chair, you all know what is a rocking chair? Rocking chair which bend forwards and then move backwards, bend forwards and then move backwards. That is called rocking chair. And she was trying to put Kezia to sleep. And Kezia clung to her grandmother. What did God make fathers for? She sobbed. Sobbed means when you cry a lot, after that, when you do like this, that is called sobbing. So she was very upset. Okay, she was still not comfortable. She was crying and she said that God should not have made fathers. She hated her father. She was so innocent. She did not know what wrong she had done. She was heartbroken as he did not understand her and said what he said. And said that God should not have made fathers. She was so heartbroken at that point of time. Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep. That you will forget all about in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. Now Kezia's grandmother was trying to pacify her. She gave her a handkerchief to blow her nose in it and go to sleep. She added that by morning Kezia would forget the beating. Kezia tried to justify herself. She said that she was trying to explain to him the reason for tearing the sheets of paper, but he was not ready to listen to her. So again, we see that the little child was so innocent. She did not realize that her father hit her to teach her a lesson, so that she did not touch anything that did not belong to her. Okay? But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, She quickly put both hands behind her back and a red color flew into her cheeks. So now Kezia's grandmother had told her to go to sleep and that by morning she would forget the beating that her father gave her. But Kezia never forgot the beating that she had got. Whenever she saw her father approaching, she would keep her hands behind her back all of a sudden because she felt that maybe he would hit her again. She was so afraid, and a red color flew into her cheeks. Whenever she saw her father, she got scared and her cheeks got full of red color. Okay, that much afraid she is of her father. The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father with the baby Mao on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging onto his coat pockets, ran round and round the flower bed, shaking with laughter. Once she saw the boys turn the hose on him and he tried to catch them laughing all the time. Okay, so tag you can see here, there's the word meaning is already given here. Tag means a children's game of catching one another. So here the writer tells us about Kezia's neighbors. Now the focus has been shifted towards Kezia's neighbors. Her neighbors were a family named McDonald. In all, McDonald had 5 children and Kezia would peep at them through a hole in the fence. She would see that the family had uh, she should see that the family had a lot of fun. They played a game called tag. Okay, tag I have already told you, game of catching one another like we play catch, just like that only. So all the children along with their father would have a lot of fun. Mr. McDonald would make his little baby mouse sit on his shoulder and the 2 little daughters that he had, they would hang onto his coat pockets, and so all the children were so much attached to their father. They loved him so much that they would stick to him. चिपक जाते थे एकदम. Okay, and then they would run around the garden, around the flower bed, and they would laugh and laugh and laugh. Kezia also wanted to have such fun with her father and she missed it. She missed it. One day she saw that the little sons of Mrs. McDonald opened the hose on him. They opened the water pipe and tried to make him wet, but Mr. McDonald was not angry with them. He tried to catch them and he was happy, he was laughing. This was very strange, okay, very strange, and more strange for Kezia because her father was just the opposite of Mr. McDonald. Okay, so then what happened? Let's see. Then it was, she decided there were different sort of fathers. Now when Kezia saw Mr. McDonald, she realized that he was quite opposite to her father. She felt that God had made various kinds of fathers. Suddenly one day, mother became ill and she and grandmother went to the hospital. So one day Kezia's mother fell ill, so she was taken to the hospital and the grandmother also went along with her. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice the cook. Now another character has entered in the story, the cook. What name? What is it? Her name or his name? We will check it out later. Alice. That was all right in the daytime. Let us move. You can see here this picture. This picture is of Mr. McDonald. And here is our Kezia looking through the hole in the fence. Okay, but while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. Now Kezia was all alone at home with the cook. The name of the cook is Alice. Now Kezia was, she was fine during the day, but at night, when the cook put Kezia to bed all alone, Kezia started feeling scared. What will I do if I have a nightmare? She asked. I often have nightmares and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispery. Nightmare means a bad dream. Nightmare means a bad dream. Okay? So Kezia asked Alice that if she had a bad dream, what would she do all alone? She was so afraid. Kezia explained to Alice that whenever she had nightmares, she would go to her grandmother and she would sleep with her. Okay, so you just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks, and don't you scream and wake your poor pup. So she said that she could not stay all alone in the dark because she would be scared. She could hear different kinds of whispering sounds also, which made her feel that there was someone around her. It happened with you also, no? So, small kids also sometimes. When we are all alone at home in the night, we feel like, oh, somebody is standing next to us, and we hear a lot, many different sounds. But actually there is nothing. It's all our fear. Okay? There is nothing called all these things, superstitious things. So now Kezia's father was sleeping in the next room, and Alice told Kezia to sleep quietly. She suggested her, beta, you also go and sleep. She removed Kezia's socks and asked her not to scream. She warned her not to scream and wake her father. But Kezia was helpless. Kezia was helpless. Okay, moving forward. But the same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and a rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile, while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma! Grandma!" She woke shivering to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. So a butcher is a person who cuts animals, who cuts meat. That is, he is called butcher. So now this is a nightmare that Kezia had often. She would see a butcher. So in her nightmares, a butcher used to come very often. So this butcher who used to kill, cut animals for meat, this butcher would hold a big knife, a huge butcher's knife and a rope, and he would approach Kezia. He had a dreadful smile on his face, very dangerous smile. And once Kezia would see him, she would feel that she was unable to move. She was so much scared of him. She was terrified to see this butcher. Okay, and in her sleep, Kezia cried out for help. She called for her grandmother. When Kezia woke up, she was shivering, literally shivering. She was trembling, and she saw that her father was standing next to her bed, and he was holding a candle in his hand. So Kezia's father had heard her screams, and he had heard that Kezia was calling for help for her grandmother, and he had come to help her. Okay, now let us move forward. "What's the matter?" he said. Now he asked Kezia what was the matter, why she was screaming. "Oh, a butcher, a knife, I want Granny." Kezia was still scared of the nightmare. Okay, she said that there was a butcher, he was holding a dreadful knife, and she wanted her grandmother. He blew out the candle, bent down, and caught up the child in his arms, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. So here we can see the affection that Kezia's father has for her. He blew the candle off, he lifted her and carried her to his bedroom. Okay? A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. Tucked up means covered up nicely in bed. Okay? So Kezia's father lay her in his bed next to him and covered her with the top sheet. Okay? He lay down beside her, half asleep still with the butcher's smile all about her, it seemed. She crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Now you can imagine a daughter-father's relationship, how cozy relationship it is. Okay, Snuggled means when you moved into a warm, comfortable position close to another person. Okay. Now Kezia felt her father's affection. Now she felt her father's affection, and so she went close to him. She snuggled herself towards her father, and she held his shirt very tightly so that she would not feel scared again. And now Kezia had overcome her fear of her father finally. That the dark did not matter, she lay still. Now once Kezia was with her father, she was no longer afraid. Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm, said father. He asked Kezia to rub her feet against his legs so that they became warm. Try it out. He slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. So, as Kezia's father was very tired, he slept before she did. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than grandmother, but it was a nice hardness. And every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. MacDonald. He had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stood suddenly and sighed. Now here, Kezia realizes her mistake and she had affection towards her father. She felt that her father was a poor man. He worked so hard. He was not so big as she found him to be earlier. Now she felt that her father was a poor man who worked very hard, and so he got so tired that he went off to sleep and did not play with her like Mr. MacDonald. But Kezia felt that her father's heart was also full of love. Okay? She realizes that she has torn up his important document, that the speech that he has written, and all this realization makes sure take a deep breath. She realizes that she had been wrong, and that is why her father had beaten her. She realized. We become very upset when our parents, they beat us, they scold us, and we become very upset. We start thinking so many negative things about them, that they do not like us, they don't love us, what kind of a parent these are, why we are born, here in this house. We make so many negative thoughts come into our mind. But once you really understand, you really, go through the, if you will go into the depth of that action, why that has been done with you, then you will realize, as a father, as a mother, if you will start thinking, okay, then only you will realize. The same way Kezia has realized that her father had beaten her, he had been so strict with her just for her betterment only. Okay, what's the matter? Asked her father. Another dream? Although Kezia's father was asleep, he was half asleep because he was very tired. Okay, but he heard her sigh. He heard the sound that Kezia made, and he asked her what the matter was. Was she again watching a bad dream? Oh, said the little girl, my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear. Kezia replied to her father that she had placed her head on her father's heart and she could hear his heartbeat. And she complimented her father that he had a big heart. Okay? So Kezia is showing her love for her father, as she had realized that her father also loved her. Okay? So that is a lovely story written by Catherine Mansfield named The Little Girl. Okay, now that we are done with the explanation part of the chapter. Now, what is the message given through this story? The story conveys a very beautiful message that there is a very strong bond between parents and children. This bond has the strength, to survive every type of challenge. However, in order to prepare their little children for the hardships of adult life, parents resort to strict punishment. And it is difficult for children to understand the true motive behind that stern action. As a result, they develop negativity. Therefore, the story gives message to both the children and parents. Children should trust their parents, and the parents should understand that physical punishment can leave emotional scars. Physical punishment can leave emotional scars that hamper the growth of a balanced personality of their child. So, the responsibility to strengthen the parent-child bond rests equally on both. Okay, it's not a one-side relationship. In a family, interpersonal relationships between parents and their children, siblings and elders, and a congenial atmosphere in the family are very important for a smooth and successful life. Okay, so that was the message conveyed through the story. I hope the chapter explanation must be clear to all of you. Question answers I'll be sending in the form of PDF. Okay, I want you all to read this chapter very carefully. Any day I can ask any question. Okay, so please read the story very carefully, understand it, go through the word meanings, difficult words, and explanation part it's been already done. Wherever you have any difficulty or any problem, you can contact me at your doubt clearance time. Okay, I'll see you in next video. Till then, take very good care of yourself. Keep smiling. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.